Is the Renegotiated Collective Bargaining Agreement, CBA, granting additional benefits to supervisory employees, valid in light of the moratorium imposed by Executive Order No. 7 and the Government-Owned and Controlled Corporations, GOCC, Governance Act of 2011? This is the case entitled Clark Development Corporation, Petitioner and Governance Commission for GOCCs, Government-Owned and Controlled Corporations, versus Association of CDC Supervisory Personnel Union, GR number 207853. March 20, 2022.
This is case 31 out of 160 cases decided by Associate Justice Mario Lopez, 2024 Philippine Bar Examination. Subscribe to receive more reviewers based on the 2024 Bar Syllabus.
Facts of the case. On March 20, 2012, Clark Development Corporation, CDC, an arm of the Bases Conversion Development Authority managing the Clark Special Economic Zone, renegotiated a CBA with its Supervisory Employees Union, the Association of CDC Supervisory Personnel, ACSP. The CBA granted additional benefits like increased annual union leave, bereavement leave, free use of guest houses, service vehicle use, salary increments, additional uniform allowance, personal economic relief allowance, PERA, a one-time signing bonus, and distribution of the agreement to all ACSP members. However, the Governance Commission for Government-Owned and Controlled Corporations, GCG, opined that this CBA violated Section 9 of Executive Order, EO, No. 7, which imposed a moratorium on increases in salaries, allowances, incentives, and other benefits in GOCCs unless authorized by the President of the Philippines. The President did not grant such authority to CDC. Furthermore, the Bases Conversion Development Authority, BCDA, recommended deferring or renegotiating the CBA unless CDC could prove its financial sustainability. ACSP filed a complaint against CDC for failing to implement the CBA. The Accredited Voluntary Arbitrator, AVA, favored ACSP, citing the constitutional right to collective bargaining and presuming the President's approval based on the rule of liberal construction in favor of labor. The Court of Appeals, CA, affirmed this, stating that EO No. 7 did not apply to CDC as a GOCC without original charter and to ACSP, comprising supervisory employees. It presumed the President's approval of additional benefits in line with labor-friendly principles. CDC then filed a petition for review on certiorari, arguing that the CBA's economic terms were invalid due to lack of presidential approval, non-compliance with GCG and BCDA recommendations, and inconsistency with Republic Act, RA, No. 10149, the GOCC Governance Act of 2011. ACSP countered that the CBA was negotiated consistent with employees' rights and that EO No. 7 and RA No. 10149 did not apply to their situation. Primary issue in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court was tasked with determining the validity of the renegotiated CBA in light of the existing moratorium on salary and benefit increases in GOCCs as imposed by EO No. 7 and the provisions of RA No. 10149. Decision of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of CDC, finding that the economic terms of the renegotiated CBA were void for violating the law. It emphasized that government employees' right to collective bargaining is subject to limitations and only those terms not fixed by law can be negotiated. The court clarified that the moratorium under EO No. 7 broadly applied to all GOCCs, regardless of their charter status, and that any increases outside the Salary Standardization Law, SSL, tranches were prohibited. It also stated that the moratorium remained effective until specifically lifted by the President, which had not occurred. Additionally, RA No. 10149 removed the authority of GOCCs to determine their compensation system, requiring GCG development and presidential approval. As such, the court reversed the CA's decision and dismissed the complaint for lack of merit. Important doctrines discussed. 1. Limitations on government employees' collective bargaining rights. Government employees have the right to collective bargaining, but this right is subject to limitations, particularly concerning terms of employment fixed by law. 2. Moratorium on salary and benefit increases in GOCCs. EO number 7 imposed a moratorium on increases in salaries, allowances, incentives, and other benefits in GOCCs, which remains effective until explicitly lifted by the President. 3. Role of the Governance Commission for GOCCs, GCG. Under RA number 10149, the GCG has the authority to develop a compensation system for GOCCs, subject to presidential approval, thereby limiting the autonomous decision-making of individual GOCCs regarding employee compensation. 4. Principle of liberal construction in favor of labor. This principle applies when there are doubts in interpreting and implementing the provisions of the Labor Code and its rules. However, it does not override clear legislative directives or executive orders. 5. Non-applicability of executive orders based on GOCC charter status. Executive orders relating to salary and benefit moratoriums in GOCCs apply universally, regardless of whether the GOCC has an original charter or is incorporated under the Corporation Code.